all. Um, could you get me the state of Alaska? It seems that in Washington state, when I document, yes, forgery, fraud, no jurisdiction, yes, and then there's the misprision of felony and misprision of treason, and then there's this whole idea, yes, that we're just going to cover this up. hmm And then I found out that my parents weren't 18. Yes. Now, I was reading You and the Law. Yes. And it says, Your family. Yes. What happens to gifts when an engagement is broken? Pooh. And then looking here, and I did look, this was printed in 1981. Mm. It was the fifth printing. Yes. And 5th April of 1981, copyright 1971. Yeah. Then they revised it, and then they revised it. Oh, now I think that this actually was up to date at the time of its printing. Now let's see here. You said that you're just not going to let me sue for the annulment of my parents' marriage. Yes. Because if you did that, you'd have to allow me to use the courts of the United States. Well, when I see here, yes, in Washington state, who is it that may actually marry a person? A public official? It says no. Judicial official, judges of the Supreme Court, Court of Appeals, Superior Court. Now, the county auditor of Kitsap County might have been a justice of the peace and the auditor. Yes. But I'm going to want to know who the individual was that actually signed that marriage application. See, who may perform a marriage ceremony? It says that in 1981 that it was not a public official that could actually perform the marriage. Yes. Now I know Kitsap County, there might be somebody saying to themselves, well, I should have never allowed for my address in Bremerton, Washington to be used. But since I did spend last night thinking about it, yes, it was probably my Uncle Stephen and his wife that used their address in Bremerton. Oh, that means that my deceased grandmother, Clara Budnick, yes, my deceased grandfather, Edward Budnick, my deceased grandmother, Eunice Condit, yes, and my deceased grandfather, Charles Condit, had agreed at the time of finding out about the pregnancy, yes, that we're just going to let them do what they want to do. I mean, they're both 16 at the time. Now, I've had this problem for the last 8 years. Yes. That there's no one in this nation that wants to actually enforce the laws of the United States. And my thought, yes, is that maybe we need a new prison system for those that think that being outside is really, really important. Now, it's possible that I could arrange for some new additions to the federal prison system. Marriage laws, yes. hmm Now, in Washington state, oh, it says here, yes, with parental consent, 17 and 17. Ooch. The problem is without parental consent. Ooch. Now, it did give the names of the two mothers, yes, but where's the father's names on the actual application? hmm See, it implies that Edward Budnick, yes, and Clara Budnick, because she had the last name of my grandfather, yes. But I went online and I couldn't find their marriage license. Well, Clara Hulse was married to George Sinclair for 7 years. Yes, he was. And they lived in Clallam County because when I went online, it said in the census that George and Clara resided in Clallam County during the 1940 census. Let's go ahead. Now, I think that somebody in this county has intentionally been torturing me right now. Since George and Clara did live in Clallam County when they had Claude, mm, and since Washington State says with parental consent, number one, now a number of states have established 18 as a lawful minimum age for marriage. In those states, persons below that age usually must have the consent of their parents. Under oath before a judge or witness, and court approval may be required. Now, why don't I see my father's name on any of the application information? And why don't I see my mother's father's name on the application? Coach, now I have a big question about my deceased grandmother's deciding right now. Deciding right now.